Before we head into the episode, I want to tell you a very funny interaction that I had that I feel is just a very European interaction.
Okay, go ahead.
And I feel that everyone can like relate to this one. It is unfortunately a music related one. And I think it's very clear of the longtime listeners of the show that then I'm very much into like metal and shit like that. I'm a fucking nerd. All right. My music taste is awful, terrible. Don't talk to me about music. But I got like approached on the street the other day. I was like buying cigarettes or whatever. And like guy comes up and is like, I don't know, they're from like Estonia or some shit. And I haven't seen this happen in like a long time, but they were like handing out CDs like on the side of the street in like Bergman-Keats.
Yeah.
You know? And they're
That's
like these
crazy.
like
CDs.
It was weird. But then like fuck it. Like I like metal, but I think the way like people who are like metalheads are like hilariously lame. So like, like big like metal dude with like dreadlocks or whatever, like had like that whole look, had like face tattoos and like just like this whole weird like European like, hey guys, I like metal sort of like vibe. That was it's very odd to me. So then like the guy's like talking to me and like he's like, oh yeah, like do you like heavy music, this and that and that? I'm like, yeah, sure, like I do. Whatever, and he's like, I'm like, well, what kind of stuff is your band like? He's like, oh, we're like Metallica and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. And so I'm like, kind of like, they like handing out CDs. He's like, oh, like well, will you buy a CD? And I'm like, no, of course not. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But kind of like take a picture of it so I can like look it up later, because it's like I'm not gonna give you like your band probably sucks. You're European and you make metal. These are things I don't like.
Yeah, that's insane. Right? You're not even busking. You're just
It was just like
CD. Nobody knows how you actually sound like.
That really, exactly. It was like, I mean, first off, don't be busking if you're a metal band. Just any genre, don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I try to be open-minded about it, but there's points where I'm just like, I will be a really bad elitist about everything. And whenever it really comes to like Europeans doing metal, I'm like, this is gonna be corny and bad. I just know it. Not to say that there isn't phenomenal bands that have come out of Europe. Absolutely there are, but like the overwhelming majority of like, and all the concerts I've ever worked at and this and that, whatever, it's like, I don't know what it is about like the German mind, but it's just like, no matter what the genre is either, it always just like gravitates towards the worst thing imaginable. Like I would work at like power metal concerts and folk metal concerts would be sold the fuck out. Germans love that corny shit and like they love it. Like it's no surprise that like Rammstein's one of the biggest bands here because they're corny, Anyway, back to my thing. So then I go, I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna buy your mixtape. Sorry. I'll take a picture of it. And he's like, oh, but don't take a picture of like the QR code because then you'll download the album for free. And I'm like, well, I don't want that anyway. I don't think you understand how uninvested I am in you guys already. Yeah. The fact that then you're telling me that you sound like Metallica to me is already like, okay, I'm checked out. Like, and I even told the guy, I'm like, I don't think I'll like your band. I like heavier stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Just like give it a look. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So then I go home. I remember that I took the picture of it this morning. I was like, okay, let me go check it out. The band was horrible.
No one is
so bad. They have a Wikipedia page. I'm not going to say who the band is. It's mean. But my feelers for European metal people and their bands just was spot on. Like they're like, oh, we're a band from Estonia, this and that and that. And I was like, okay, cool. I know no bands from Estonia. No bands from Estonia. Bad sign already. And then when they were like, oh, we're like power metal or whatever. So I'm like, okay, like you guys might be like secretly like scary, like with like the politics thing. I don't know. Like there's always like the subgenres that then is always like, you got to like be careful with. But I didn't even care about that sense because I'm just like, it was just the shittiest like radio rock fucking garbage I'd ever heard. And it has proven once again, just my understanding of Europe on multiple different levels is far too good. And I'm like looking in the comments and everyone in the comments is German being like, this rips. I love you guys.
This is okay. To be honest, like I know absolutely nothing about that side of music.
Don't. I I highly recommend don't getting into it at all.
No, I
It
know,
is-
I know. I was gonna
yeah.
say that. So when I hear European metal band, it's just like, oh, so you're Nazis. Cool.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very it makes
probably
finding
not,
bands
but-
very hard. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, like there are left-wing metal bands, and
for sure.
like there's a guy on YouTube who does really horrible low quality videos, but like approaches like particularly like black metal discourse from like a Marxist perspective, and kind of like acknowledges the sense of like you know, like why it's stupid that something that then is apparently counterculture is so like into fascism, which is like trad and upholding, you know, traditional conservative norms and this and that and that. So like it should, like you would think by just like at its core, it should be a left-wing thing. But no, of course not, because it's mostly men. Men are very stupid, and men who were like into metal also happen to be into really stupid, like nerdy things, like I don't know, World War II, but like for the bad reason.
But just they
Yeah,
just know
you
the
know?
name of like all the panzers and
Exactly. Yeah, like I can give you a entire technical readout of all, you know, Nazi munitions that they used. Well, what about this other? Oh, what do you mean? Like the U.S. this USSR, Usher, yeah. So yeah, that was my little I was
Music
reminded
adventure.
yeah, really just I should trust my gut instinct on. I shouldn't have looked them up because I wouldn't have needed to talk about them, but it was like it was too good. And I've had this conversation with friends all the time of like, I never understand how like it is particularly Germans who are like drawn to the worst types of everything, whether it be like, I don't know, like you can do it with like any like genre of music, and you can do it with the sense too of like, even if you like turn German radio on and then when you don't hear a song in English, you're like, what is this fucking garbage? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there is an occasional bop here or there, you know, but overwhelmingly stay away. Anything that then the Germans are doing, stay away. Or that the Germans like. Hey. Welcome to your weekly Corner Späti. It is myself, Nick, and I am joined with Uma.
Hello.
And we need a name for our coalition, by the way. I keep saying this every time, but that's fine.
The Hot Catholics, no? Or
oh yeah, that was it. The hot, but Ciarán's in a Catholic country.
But he's the cold Catholic, like not hot as in like physically.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, this is
yes, but that's beside the point. Hot as in like from Southern Europe.
Yeah. I understand. I don't want to give the impression that Ciarán's also not attractive. You know,
we're all very handsome and attractive, but
we are the most handsome podcast in I mean, dare I say in continental Europe plus
exactly.
Ireland.
And
the UK we don't need to talk about because, you know, it's the UK.
Exactly. But yeah, the hot Catholics back at it again.
Speaking of hot Catholicism, we can just roll right into it.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it is of no surprise then that we're going to be talking about Hungary quite a bit today, as for like, I'm always surprised that because Hungary is kind of like made like, I think since the rise of like other right-wing parties and groups in Europe, particularly like the like Maloney era that we've been in, Orban and Hungary have kind of like taken this back seat. PIS is no longer in power in Poland, you know, although we can make the assessment that, you know, PP is just a different form of conservatism. There's the more pro-EU one, but Orban has been chilling, I would say, for about like a year or two now. And now that then Hungary has gone and just banned pride parades, like banned pride itself.
Yeah, so
is kind of then one of those moments where we have that like, oh yeah, Hungary is still out there being like
Hungary.
on their freak mode. Yeah, going being Hungary.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I don't think he's been fully chilling. It is true that in
Oh no, just
international.
Europe has been paying less attention to it,
No,
I guess, is
exactly.
what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in international news, yes, like Orban is just like, whatever, yeah, it's just another, he's been in Hungary for like what, 10 years or whatever, so like, leave him there, whatever. But he is kind of like the European Union's most wanted kind of like number one hater guy.
Yeah, it really is. I hate to like quote Harry Potter, but it really is the like one must live so the other can die sort of situation things.
Exactly.
Like
like he's been
he
banned.
needs the European Union, yeah.
He does, but he's also been banned from talks, like leader talks. He's also, well, obviously all these like upcoming weird emergency Ukraine talks that they're having in Paris like every other week, which nothing comes out of it, but whatever. Orban is just not allowed to go. Same with some Brussels talks. They just, obviously because he's pro Putin, they're just like, you're not invited, we don't like you, etc., etc. So yes, on Tuesday, which I think it was the 18th of March, Hungary officially banned pride parades, which it was literally the quickest law ever drafted and passed. It was drafted and passed on the same day by Fidesz, which is I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm gonna say.
Do we
Fidesz.
really like do we really respect that though? I don't care if we pronounce Fidesz improperly.
That is very
technically
true.
We're calling Viktor Orban improperly as well. It should be Orban Victor, but here we aren't.
That. Yeah. Listen, that I fucking hate. Like, I don't care about it. I understand Hungarian is its own language, but I hate that so much.
Yeah.
Like reversing the names. Please, no. Anyway. So his party, Fidesz, drafted and voted into law because they control everything. Obviously, they control the parliament, the government, everything. So the parliament, the chief of the parliament, whatever, speaker, passed this law, which basically bans pride parades or any events relating to like LGBT plus, things, themes. And what's worse, though, I mean, obviously that's really fucking bad. It's just against freedom of what's it called? Freedom of assembly.
Freedom of assembly, yeah.
Exactly. It also allows police to use like facial recognition scanning technology to know if an event like that happens anyway, who is going, and to find them with up to like 500 euros, which is an insane amount of money, obviously, for this. It basically the grounds of pride being banned is because it could be harmful to children, which is obviously the dumbest thing ever. It's again the rhetoric that this
yeah, Viktor Orban is very proudly a no kink at pride man.
yeah exactly. But in 2021 they already kind of passed this law that was about hiding LGBT plus themes in general of like TV and everything, also again saying that it's for the safety of children. And now they've taken it further with banning pride in general. So, yeah, the Budapest liberal mayor, who is called Gergely Karacsony. Sorry.
We're never going to be able to pronounce Hungarian names properly on here. So just try the best that you can.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. They said that, well, obviously they criticized the law. They're not part of the Fidesz political party. And they said that this year's pride would have been bigger than ever, but organizers are still saying that they will go ahead with it. And honestly, I don't know how it's gonna be stopped besides, well, obviously brutal repression and violence, because there was already on Tuesday when this was passed on the parliament, there was already like a massive spontaneous protest in the center of Budapest. Like thousands of people came out to protest this. So this year is definitely going to be like, I mean, when Poland banned it, it's just gonna happen anyway, and there's gonna be violence, and it's gonna be
Turkey did the same thing too. I think people forget as well of like the three kind of pinnacles of the different forms of like European variants of authoritarianism of like Turkey, Hungary, and Poland, but actually no longer Poland because now they're an authoritarian-ish kind of thing that Europe likes.
The good kind of authoritarian, apparently.
Yeah, and it kind of comes off of this thing of like, I mean, it is odd to like, kind of have this like this like reminder that there is this, particularly in these very, very, and I will say this as a proper Catholic, these backwards Catholic nations, where it is the sense that then like, people are fucking religious or whatever, but they only are religious in the sense that they want to be like evil, like where, Orban is Catholic in the sense that it means that he can like, be like legitimately homophobic, and that he supports Israel because he legitimately thinks that like the Crusades are real.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
And it is this like, it is this very odd thing too. And then like you go around, I know, because there's like, Euronews pieces that then have been kind of done about like how, like what do Hungarians think about like LGBT legislation? And you just have like these old women being like, they're evil. Like they're, they are like, it is this like entirely like the level of then like the reactionary politics, I think is kind of like hard to fathom, where Germany, for example, is like reactionary in other ways. And yes, the AfD probably is like in its core, like mad, hella homophobic, obviously openly transphobic, You have then like the like slow discussion in Germany about things like woke and this and that, which really aren't like catching on. But like Hungary is the country that hosts CPAC Europe,
Oh yeah,
where like literal neo-Nazis come, and it's like supported by the government as well. Like Orban fully endorses this. And as you said too, that then, how does Hungary kind of do this if it's like Fidesz has allowed themselves to become the only game in town by like rigging every election? I think everyone has forgotten that they just like have fake candidates run against them. It's a level of like absurdity. And like, like Europe is going to go, and which they already have, like members of the European Union have already been like, oh, like, wagging their finger at Hungary, but they're never going to like cut shit to them. It'll always be like, oh, we're going to like stop funds to them. Hungary's going to be like, no, you're not. And then, Hungary always kind of then claims the like sovereignty aspect of shit too, that then like, oh, the European Union is not allowed to interfere with Hungarian politics.
They'll just do some performative bullshit, like taking them to the EU courts, like human rights court or whatever, and nothing is going to come out of it.
Which like proves Orban's point continuously like right, and is kind of this like beacon for the rest of the right wing movements of like see, like the liberal,
the
quote unquote
is
the woke, which I mean for Orban you can just like add Jewish to there because he does believe in the Jewish conspiracy, but like like the Jewish woke conspiracy is coming out to get me. See, look, like Hungary's being sued by the European Union because we're being, we're Christian and we're doing this and we're doing that, and it like funnels all of this kind of like rightward energy into this. I mean, like that's how you have people like Tucker Carlson always being like, well, Hungary is really the beacon of Christian values in Europe.
They did an interview together as well.
Of course he did.
And Orban live on both their X accounts, and it was the dumbest shit.
Of course it's on X.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Orban loves Twitter, loves X. He's always posting shit there. It's just like whatever. But another thing that came out of this is that the the few actual opposition people allowed that are in the parliament, all set off flares during this vote because and as an act of protest, obviously. And there's this opposition leader, a party called Momentum, and their leader is called David Bedo. Him and 2 other lawmakers have been banned from entering parliament for 2 months, fined, and will have their salaries withheld for 6 months. 3 other Momentum lawmakers were banned from entering parliament for 1 month and docked 4 months' salary. Bedo's fine of more than 24 million Hungarian florins, which is 60,000 euros.
Okay, let's see. What's that in real money?
I know. In real money, it's 60,000. I know, but it sounds so bad when you say. I mean, it is.
I mean, it's bad regardless. But 24 million Hungarian florins is definitely
florins or whatever. Yeah, 60,000 is the highest fine ever imposed on a member of the Hungarian parliament. And the 6 lawmakers' total sanctions reached more than 80 million forints, which is 200,000 euros. Which, again, insane, just for saying, like, hey, maybe
gay people exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I was really, okay, this is super dumb, and, like, it's doesn't affect...
you're on the perfect show then for
I know.
For stupid dumb European things.
Doesn't affect me whatsoever, but I am going to Budapest this summer, right? And I was like, oh, this sucks, like this, like what the fuck, but I'm going for a festival. And then the festival posted, like, we stand with gay people. And I was like, okay, good.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was going to be like, we stand with Viktor Orban.
I mean, you can't have fucking Chappell Roan and, like, Shawn Mendes, like, you know, all these people playing in your festival and then be like, actually, fuck gay people. Like,
I found out who Shawn Mendes was last week, by the way.
I mean, he's apparently straight, but there's this whole whatever. There's this like pop culture.
I don't need to. Like I said, I just found out about him last week. I don't need to. Like, you're putting too much information out on me.
Sorry, I'm not. Just for the listeners, I am not going there to listen to Shawn Mendes. I am not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this will be something that then I guess we have to like surely keep our eye on because
for sure.
I mean, it is this thing of Hungary is I feel that Hungary is kind of always like the testing ground of what right wingers can kind of get away with in Europe, you know. Like, one part is, of course, the sense of like Orban, as you've mentioned, with like his Russia policy, has kind of, you know, dug himself out into his own little area. However, Hungary's not a country that then's actually like politically influential in any grand scheme of things, but they are influential in the sense of like the future of the right. Like, they did that whole what is that publication? The New Conservative or something like that. I forget what it was. We had an episode where we talked about Hungary's, you know, fundings of like a New Conservative, like fake academia sort of projects that they've been doing. CPAC Hungary is, of course, then a part of this professionalization of the right. And while it's always kind of traditionally been that the United States has been the country that people have like looked towards, you know, whether it be anti-communism or just general conservative thought, Europe is kind of trying to like, you know, do that thing of, oh, well, you know, actually, you know, conservatism is here. Conservatism is in Christendom, which is Europe, and this and that and that, which is something that the United States' conservatism never really has been able to do. Like, yes, there is the religious aspect of the like of the right in the United States since the 1950s, like the John Birch Society and the hyper evangelical, you know, type of shit. But the vibe is different, I would say, than like trad, you know, the type of people who post like you know, busts,
fan art from like Catholic churches and
or like just straight up monarchists and stuff that, you know, where there is
or Franco.
Exactly.
I feel like Orban wants to be a Franco for sure.
I think
the whole like Judeo-Bolshevist like we need to go
Hungary is like probably the most anti-Semitic country in Europe that wasn't Nazi Germany, or I guess it's like one of the countries where the Nazis ended up there, and they're like, you guys are too insane.
we'll let you go. Yeah,
but
no, it's just I was just gonna say that it's also the whole, to add to what you were saying, the whole patriots thing from the European Union. I think he's the only, like, Hungary is the only Fidesz is the only ruling party that is in that group. So he is.
Well, they got kicked out of the EPP.
No, I know, but they joined Patriots, which is like
no, exactly. But this happened because Fidesz, who was like a main member of the EPP for a very long time, was then forced out because they are too wacky.
Exactly, but then he is the inspiration for all of these wacky other European politicians like Le Pen or Santiago Abascal.
I would say maybe not so far as that. Then I wasn't expecting us to get in a debate about Orbanism, but I don't think.
Welcome to Corner Späti.
Yeah, welcome to Corner Späti. This is the real heads hour. I don't think that someone like a Le Pen or like Vox needs Orban. I think that they're I think that then Orban's really funny to me because he kind of like the person that then he's really trying to convince is like a Tucker Carlson.
100%.
Legitimately, like he doesn't like the Western European, proto-fascist parties and stuff like that have their histories of, Le Pen, fucking Vichy France, like that's, you don't need anything more than that. French monarchists have been at it forever. They're fucking weird. I don't know how they exist. I don't know why they exist, but they exist. Where like, I feel that then that like a party that then isn't allowed to kind of tap into that legacy, say like an AFD, for example, would then maybe be more so, akin to see what then is happening in Hungary of like, oh, okay, so we can kind of have our cake and eat it too with this type of like new right-wing politic that we want. And we don't need to do like, we can't say that we like Hitler, like how like Vox goes around and just being like Francoist or whatever they like, or even like Maloney has kind of had to like tune down her legit fascist undertones, but still nonetheless, it's not a big deal if she says that she likes Mussolini, where I feel that then these parties that don't have these identities yet around actual fascism look to Orban as like this thing of like, oh, here's how we can do this in the here and now, you know? And these motions like this. Now, I do think that then no matter what like is going to happen, this is going to stay. Like this legislation is not going to be, knocked down by the European Union.
Oh no.
It's Fidesz, as you've mentioned, is pretty much a like one party institution sort of thing in Hungary. The hammer's already been brought down against those who have protested within the first week. And it just kind of comes into the sense too of then how like people within the country are just going to kind of have to like keep pushing against this. And this is also getting worse too in like the Balkans as well, of like, we need to also remember too that the homophobia stuff is very much like at the forefront of a lot of right-wing politics currently, particularly in like post, like Warsaw Pact countries.
Yeah. It's going to be I'm just gonna say the bravery of the people are gonna go to the Pride Parade in June is I can't even fathom. Like I don't know. It's gonna be bad. As you said, the EU, they tweeted about it on Tuesday. Oh, blah, blah, blah, blah. They're not gonna do anything about it. Actually,
see, can I have like gay imperialism? But I don't mean gay imperialism like the like way that liberals do it. Like in the sense where they're like, oh, at least a gay person's drone striking someone. Like, can I take over the country of Hungary and like force queer politics? Like if you do not accept this, you are going to a re-education camp.
Like you can
gay Stalinism.
Try. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that so this new guy appeared like last year, 2 years ago, Peter Magyar or something like that.
His fucking last name is not Magyar, really.
I think it is, which I think means like
that
Hungarian.
Yeah, it means Hungary. Yeah,
in Hungary. I think so. Wait, Peter.
Yeah, that rips. No, don't even double check yourself. His name's Peter Hungary.
No, it is. It literally is.
That rocks.
Wait, what? Oh, sorry. It was like his wife has a Catalan name, and I was like, anyway, and he has been like, every time he calls for a protest, there's like thousands of people. Obviously that doesn't really mean much, but in theory, there's elections next year. Again, it doesn't mean much because it's corrupt and
like I mentioned, Fidesz literally just makes fake candidates.
No, exactly, yeah. But he did show his support for I don't know if it was more about gay people or like LGBT plus people or just like freedom of assembly kind of thing, you know, like I'm not gonna be openly pro gays, but I will be pro freedom of assembly.
Pro freedom of assembly, yeah. I'm actually a raging homophobe, but
I go against everything that Orban says. So yeah, I don't know. It sucks, and I'm sorry for the Hungarian people and listeners that are actually like normal people.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it is really bad, and it's like the thing too that then when Erdogan banned Pride, they still did it and they got brutalized, and
yeah, it's
of course, like that's you know, that's gonna be the reality of it. The facial recognition thing is fucking bonkers too. Like that's just insane. That's the level of like paranoia that then it's at too.
Yeah, and then they just have they have you there on file forever. And if they even fucking jailed that Italian woman last year, 2 years ago, remember? Like she was in jail for a long time for defending herself from Nazis. But they twisted it in like
yeah.
Like, no, she hid these poor little Hungarians. It's like, no, they were Nazis who were attacking her protest group, anti-fascist group, and she just hit back. And they arrested this Italian woman with no Hungarian citizenship just for months. And like the EU didn't do shit. Like nobody cared. The Italian government, obviously, Meloni doesn't give a shit. So if they do that to non-nationals, to people that are supposed to be a bit more quote unquote protected, I'm
okay. I'm sorry. My gay Stalinism is real now. I am
good.
This is my position for all of Europe. You know, there is the question of should communism be imperialist? Yes, in this case, I think it should be, and it will start with Hungary.
100%.
Yeah, and it will. We will. Yeah, horrible. Oh God, I hate Europe. Why do I? I mean, I say, why do I live here? And it's not like it's getting any better in the United States. So, but speaking of the United States and our favorite agent of U.S. Thought, Atlanticism, whatever you will. Our girl Annalena Baerbock seems to be failing upwards as always, and this, I feel it's gotten really blown out of proportion. One, just because it would be really funny if she was actually replacing Gutierrez, which would be way too hilarious. Of that, then just this very pro-genocide woman just like now taking over the position of Antonio Gutierrez, who problematic in some regards, but nonetheless has
been pretty okay with his opinion.
Has been okay with it, yeah. Fair enough, exactly. But no, she's apparently being appointed to the president of the UN General Assembly, which, for those who don't know, is a meaningless role, more or less. It is switched out every single year. A country gets to nominate a person, they vote for it, this and that and that. Germany is nominating Annalena Baerbock, and that's that. Apparently they're forcing someone to step down so that then she can get her position.
That's so
which is
rude.
insane. Yeah. I forget who you.
Imagine you've been working for that your whole life, and then they're like, no, we need to get this bitch.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up, and you need to, women first, and by women I mean like the evil kind,
the Thatcher kind.
Yeah. So there's really not much that's interesting about this. So they do have to vote for her. This is how it works in the UN. It would only be for 1 year, but so what? The voting happens in June. She'd be appointed for September. So yeah, whatever. Not a big deal. The funniest thing about this, of why I think it's very corner Späti related news, is that one country said that they will not vote for her. I think it is of no surprise that country is Russia. And the reasoning behind it is the funniest shit I have ever heard of. Russia will not vote for Annalena Baerbock because she has, which they're not wrong about this, on multiple occasions said how proud she was of her grandfather's actions when he was in the Wehrmacht. When talking about to the Ukrainian military and whatnot. So the statement from Russia was particularly that then, because she's proud of her Nazi grandfather. Russia was like, no, we can't vote for her.
I hate when they're right.
I hate when they're right too, because you're just like, yeah.
Because she literally said it many times. No, the worst part, she doesn't, she's just like,
no, it's just like my grandfather was here, and he proudly fought.
For who, bitch? For who? Why was he here? He shouldn't have been here.
Yeah. No, actually, secretly, he was with the Red Army. We've just been doing historical revisionism on Corner Späti. But yeah, it is because Russia could have been like, no, we don't like her because of the position to the Ukraine war, this and that, or whatever Russia calls the Ukraine war now. I don't know what I don't know if they still use special military operation, but that was always a fun euphemism for what it was. But yeah, they could have just been we just don't want to. But they gave a reason, and that reason, unfortunately, is the correct reason.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, just like I mentioned, just a bit of little too on the nose corner Späti news that came across my desk. By my desk, I mean reading Tagesschau like a fucking pig that I am. Because Germany is just so stoked on it, and they're like, "Can you believe that Moscow is going to vote no?" And then you read the reason, you're like, "Yeah, actually,
But also, Russia hates Germany in general. Why are you? Why are you surprised?
Yeah, especially this specific person. Russia hates Annalena Baerbock for some good and some bad reasons, but this is definitely
a good one. Unfortunately,
yeah. Unfortunately, I gotta. I hate to give Russia props on this one. 1 point to Russia because that's just a hilarious answer. But kind of not to wrap it up because we have two more stories today. Speaking of the Greens, all right, climate protests are very important throughout Europe. This is a story that Ciarán sent us before the show, and I feel that
adamant that we should
that we added it into it, and I was debating saving it for him, but it's unfortunately not an evergreen story. But in our favorite country, as in a country that I actually don't care about, that I forget exists and should probably just not, is going to be underwater anyway in the next 20 years. The Netherlands had probably one of the most Dutch things happen. I don't know how to lead into this.
It's just so bizarre.
A member of the PVV ran into an Extinction Rebellion protester who was carrying what's transparent? What's the word in English?
A banner?
A banner. Yeah, thank you. Carrying a banner, says that he didn't realize someone was behind it, was trying to ram through the banner in order to get into his parking spot, like in a parking garage. All right. So Ronald van Tigelen, not real names because Tichelen or whatever that'd be pronounced in Dutch, admits that he hit the climate activist last week outside of the provincial house in Haarlem. And the woman landed on his hood, was injured, but he says that he has no reason to apologize.
Which is insane to me. Like, you claim, his claim is that he didn't notice or realize that there was a person behind the banner, that he was.
But then he's like, I did it.
But then he's like, but I'm not going to apologize. And it's like, well, but if you think that, like, if your excuse is that you didn't see the person, that you didn't mean to run over a person, wouldn't be the normal course of action to just apologize?
Yeah, I just love the fact that the first thing of action here wasn't that he was just like arrested or something. Maybe this is like my American brain of just like, yeah, throw him in jail. But like, I feel that in like any other country, if you ran over someone, the initial thing that then happens is that then you are like hit with the crime, or you at least like end up in like, you know, basic police custody until you like get out, you know. Get like a trial date.
Is it the whole thing?
No, they press charges on him immediately.
Why is it great?
But I'm just like in the sense of like being in like the sense of like, you know, being like the victim of an assault, like a physical like altercation. Mm-hmm. You go to the police station, they take all your information and then they let you go. But I guess in the Netherlands, it's just like, all right, go on your merry fucking way.
Jesus Christ.
Because, yeah, so then that was the thing, is that then one, he says he shouldn't have to apologize, but then as well, too, maybe he did go to the police station. I have no fucking clue, but just the way that they make it sound like is that then just like he went off, was like, go fuck yourself. I'm not apologizing. And then they're pressing charges against him. So not in the sense that then that he is like, you know, like that he is being like, you know, held for like assault or something like that. It's just simply that then that, you know, there's like this, I don't know. I mean, it just seems kind of obvious in the sense of maybe everyone's going to say that I'm too draconian with my willingness to punish freaks. But again, gay Stalinism.
Always punish politicians in any case.
Again, gay Stalinism. Anyway. All right. Back to, I guess, the authoritarians of the world that we can kind of wrap this up with. So while, you know, one country that we mentioned, Hungary, doing big things, one of our other, you know, favorite, you know, nodes of right-wing authoritarianism in Europe, Turkey, is on one again. And this is a very weird one to me because it's the same thing that Erdogan always does, but we'll get into the weird part. So Erdogan arrested the mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu, after he claimed that he had connections of corruption and terrorism. İmamoğlu and 99 other people within his like circle were arrested for alleged ties to the PKK. Specifically, 6 of the members were tied to the PKK. He says were you know, connected to the PKK. İmamoğlu included as one of these 6 people. Erdogan's reasoning for this is just simply that then the CHP and the DEM, who is like a kind of pro-Kurdish party, who's like the replacement of the HDP, who was then banned, that's enough proof for him to say that then they have PKK ties, because they made during the last elections a, you know, kind of a pact that they were going to run as like kind of a, not necessarily like a coalition, but that they should like, you know, join up to, you know, garner votes against Erdogan. Erdogan has said that then now because, you know, kind of in the reason that then İmamoğlu is coming up to be possibly the next person in the CHP who could run against Erdogan, that no, thank you, we don't want to do that. So therefore, I'm arresting you on charges that I can kind of just make up, which Turkey has always kind of done under the Erdogan. I mean, this is a man who planned a coup against himself. All right. So
this is a man who just also arrested a card reader for saying
yeah. I mean, like Erdogan knows no limits. I mean, the thing of if you can plan a fake coup against yourself to then go into a moment of Ausnahmezustand, there are no limits to your power. I mean, Turkey is definitely probably one of the most interesting cases of like whatever type of authoritarianism that is. But nonetheless, of course, this has created a quite a large crisis in Istanbul. There have been protests that then have started that have of course turned quite violent. Erdogan is very adamant about using force as he always kind of has. Istanbul is always then this kind of massive node for Erdogan that he finds particularly bothersome because he never wins there. There have been cases where then he has dissolved mayoral elections there, put in like 2 AKP candidates. He's done everything in the book to rig something and can't seem to then get the AKP to have a seat there. Surprise, surprise. The largest metropole in the country is quite liberal and quite particularly anti-fascist as well. I think that needs to also be mentioned that Istanbul is a very left-wing city in certain parts of it, and very militantly left-wing as well too. But the thing that's just so bizarre of that is that then this is coming directly off of the back of that. Then apparently the PKK and the AKP are like making a peace agreement now, as we had mentioned last week. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago with Seamus when talking about Syria and Turkey and all that jazz. That this was kind of a moment not to really trust Erdogan. At least that was my impression of it. I think that we could kind of all agree. And that this is kind of proving to be that then Erdogan kind of always needs the PKK boogeyman for him to get his shit done. What's going to happen then in the sense of like, okay, you're saying that then that you're making peace with the Kurds. That's completely unbelievable. But yeah, sure. This random mayor who's member of the CHP, of course, is actually simultaneously connected to a group in a Marxist-Leninist, anti-imperialist group in Iraq. Go on, King. So and I mean, like, it is when talking about Hungary, and I think this is kind of a good way to like end the show with, is that then it's like, if we want to see the direction that then I guess if Hungary is going in any which way, it probably is a Turkey direction where they are a NATO member. They get to do whatever the fuck they want. They, unlike so much Turkey has an importance to the European Union in the sense that then that they hold a bunch of refugees that Europe doesn't want. Hungary doesn't really have an importance, but they don't really need to because they're so small. Yeah. And so there then is always this kind of, Turkey always claims this like civilizational war against Europe of why, Europe doesn't want Turkey because we're not European enough, but that's fine because we're proudly Turkish, this and that and that. See, don't you go look at how the Turk is treated in Germany. See, they like loathe us, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. Where now Erdogan's been in power for like 20 years, and there's been no real backlash from anyone of this like creeping, not creeping authority, full on authoritarianism. A guy who his party has worked alongside whatever you would call the MHP. I guess they're not Nazis, but the equivalent of Nazis in Turkey, fascists. They've had coalitions with fascists. They have had the MIT, the Turkish Secret Service, has like openly worked with ISIS on numerous occasions. They can kind of do whatever they want. The government has been found on multiple occasions caught with, drug smuggling scandals, anything that you could imagine that then would have collapsed Erdogan or lost any of his legitimacy or any of the corruption or any of the just like blatant just authoritarianism he's doing, especially like in this instance, has just been chugging along. No one's coming to say that then like, oh, okay, ooh, yeah, bad. Like it does come down to the sense that then that the people in Turkey are like have become extremely militant against, this regime, whether it be the student protests that happened a few years ago at like Boğaziçi, which we talked about on the show years ago, or whether it then be now the sense of Gezi Park is another example of, anti-fascist action that then had happened. I mean, it is really like when you mentioned to the sense of that Hungary is going to have to, like, it is the people who are going to have to do it. I think Turkey's a very good example of what that starts looking like. It's bad, don't get me wrong, but immediately after that happened, people went onto the streets and like fought cops and like actually kind of won in some instances. If you saw some of the videos, which is pretty sick. So yeah.
Yep, I have nothing else to.
I don't either. It's just, it's fucking grim. Europe makes me feel bad sometimes, and it's just, I mean, I'm curious of the sense of, I mean, it's the thing too of like how much does this have to do with then like Erdogan leading up to an election. Erdogan, they just Turkey just had an election 2 years ago. You know, it's not like he's going to the polls anytime soon. There is, of course, then the legitimate fear of that. Then, oh, okay, this guy could be a political adversary for Erdogan. But Erdogan's won elections against people who like what was the guy's? I'm gonna blank on his name because it's very long and very complicated. The last leader of the CHP, like Erdogan narrowly beat, and kind of only really did so with like the German vote. So there is probably like maybe just collectively this fear that then Erdogan's regime is quite leaky, that he may not win the next election, but who knows? And then the thing happens then too of like, what if Erdogan loses, you know?
Yeah.
In the near future. Like, I don't think that he'd be stepping down anytime soon.
Nope.
You know, or you know what? Maybe the terror reader was correct and he just dies.
Oh, that'd be funny. I mean, Berlin would be the weirdest city if Erdogan.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, the people who love Erdogan the most live in this city.
I know, exactly.
You know?
It would be such a weird vibe. But hey,
the joke of always like, I'm a Turkish nationalist. Oh, what's it like living in Berlin?
Yeah.
You know? Like, that is a thing.
Yeah.
And it is kind of then the thing, too, of like, I don't think, like, if Erdogan, you know, God willing, dies. And
Inshallah,
Erdogan dies. The AKP kind of is him. There's not like, he doesn't have anyone like around him to like, there's no one liked enough to kind of like, you know, everyone that has kind of come up in that party who then Erdogan was kind of cool with has either, I mean, the person who he was the closest with was Gülen.
Yeah.
So, you know, his BFF is you know, long gone and an enemy of the state. I think he like died recently too, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
I mean, don't quote me on that. I think I remember that he died recently. I don't know. And I'm not going to cut that out if that's not the case. But anyway, doesn't matter though. If he's alive or if he's dead, he's in the United States, very far from Erdogan. And there is just like, there's not really like an ideological successor to him. And it's like, I don't think that then that the AKP is so bureaucratized that they would just have like a natural, you know, next of kin for Erdogan. You know, it is too surrounded around that then he is, I mean, like the Turkish nationalists compare him to fucking like Ataturk, like on that level, you know, like there's people who I see driving around Berlin, like with the Erdogan signature on their car. Like you can't just get rid of a cult of personality like that. So anyway, do we have anything to shout out? Oh, we do actually.
I mean, Eurovision?
We do, yeah. What does Ciarán call it? Gyrovision? Gyrovision, that's what he calls it.
Yeah.
Gyrovision. I don't know. You know, I can't pronounce I'm not going to pronounce Greek words improperly. I could try. Gyrovision. All right. We have Gyrovision coming up on, it's the 18th of May, correct? Or is it the 17th?
No, wait, I have it. 1 second, my calendar.
It's the 18th.
Yeah, 17th.
17th? It's on a Saturday?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine. On the 17th of May, then. I always thought that Eurovision was on a Sunday.
No, because it goes so late that people will.
Yeah, true. It feels like it's a Sunday. All right, yeah. So we're doing 17th of May. We are doing it in conjunction with the Irish Block in Berlin. We'll also be streaming it. We do not have a venue yet, but it'll be a blast. So just to let you know that we are getting ready for our yearly extravaganza. It will be boycott friendly, which means that we're not just simply going to be watching the Eurovision stream. We have our own show that none of us are allowed to see until Ciarán shows us the night of which it happens. I assume that shortly we will be able to then post a site for tickets and where it's going to be and this and that, because again, like I said, less than 2 months away, and it will be a fun time. I'm going to be wearing a costume of some sort. Ciarán's going to be wearing a costume of some sort. Uma, are you going to be wearing a costume?
Well, now I feel forced to.
You don't have to. Costume
I'm not going to be the boring one. I'm more
but I mean costume. I mean more in the sense of just dressed up fun. I
have fun.
Good.
Stuff.
I know that you do. I see all your like fits when you go to the club.
The club.
What is it then? What do you call it then?
What are you, 50? Sorry.
Your fits when you go to the club is not a phrase that then an elderly person would say. I didn't
go to the club. I went to like you're talking about the
oh, your fucking soiree. I don't know what you call them.
No, it's a Pansy's a drag queen. It's what's it called? She calls it
drag shows.
No, but it's a disco. It's like a day thing. Sizzle disco. Yeah.
Okay,
like
the club.
It's during the day, so it doesn't feel right.
Okay, an open air then? I don't know. What's the...
No, it's in Claeshin's Ballhouse. You know, like the 100 and something old...
The club.
Okay, yes. Okay, we'll say. Yeah. Uma goes to the club.
Uma goes to the... Why is that like an offensive thing?
No, it's not defensive at all. It's just funny because I never go clubbing, so it was funny. But anyway.
Well, then you should have not said anything and just been like, yeah, I do go to the club.
Yeah, I'm so cool.
Yeah.
I go out every...
You're like, Nick, I don't see you at the club.
In the club, we're all fam or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, speaking of the club, you should come with us to the club, and that club is our Eurovision show, which again, we will have details for in the coming weeks. Simply just reminding everyone that then we are doing it again this year. It is boycott friendly, and all proceeds will be going to a Palestinian charity that we need to... I think we went to Medical Aid Palestine last year. Probably will be something similar
I think
this
the
year.
One that makes more sense.
Yeah. So, so come out. It'll also be streamed. You'll be able to then donate online as well. And the whole point of the night, have fun. And of course, to, get money together to help people who are in Palestine, who obviously, of course, need it a lot more than we do, for sure. Like, regardless of how bad things are in Europe, they are going through a literal genocide. So, exactly. And on that note, we will see you guys all next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.